Hi there, it is Dawn Gracie of Dawn's Vintage Do. I am here at the end of the year. Can you believe it is December already? I cannot even believe it. I wanted to just do a video to report back on this has been a weird year. A very weird year. And as lots of you know, I did a crowdfunder when all this kicked off. I did a crowdfunder and I was overwhelmed with how generous people were with buying my rewards, and in so many cases, which I was not expecting, people who simply donated without wanting any reward in return because they knew that, of course, every reward cost me money, which is fine. That's what they're there for and that's what crowdfunder is all about. People just donated without claiming any reward in return, and so I was amazed and extremely grateful for that. I cannot tell you. So what did I do with the money, you are wondering? I wanted to do this roundup at the end of the year just to report back on, how I spent the money. So first things I did was to look at all the things that needed to be paid for to cover the costs of my big vintage weekender that was due to happen in October. So there were lots of deposits that had been paid out already for bands and people involved that I booked for October who still needed their deposits, and so I still needed to find the money, and things that had already been paid for, like lots of marketing. There's actually a lot of things that were never even seen, that never made it that far, but were already done and in place. We were just about to start building some props, and I'm very glad we didn't start on that. Oh my God, I would have had an Anderson shelter in my garden, and you know what? It probably would have suited this year. I needed to make sure that everything was covered and the loans that I've taken out to date, because my weekender journey it's been happening for years basically, and over the years there's been lots of costs that have gone out, and I always knew that year 5 would be the year that it would all level out, cover itself and pay for the past, and it had, up until the pandemic, and then it all went wrong. So I needed to make sure that everything was in place for payments, loan repayments, and basically just to cover that, because I knew I would not be earning possibly for months, and it turns out for the rest of the year, with odd things here and there, of course, that have happened, which I'm eternally grateful for. I had no idea where the money was going to come from, and so I turned to crowdfunder and was very, very honest about it and said that, there are things that have been paid for that I need to cover. And so that is what I did first of all, made sure exactly what was needed in order to be paid off, so that I could just sit back and just know that I wasn't going to be falling behind with any payments and it was all going to be fine. That's what we all wanted to know. It was going to be fine. And you, my crowdfunders, you're amazing. Thank you. The next thing I did was to bolster myself, really surround myself with memberships of things that I'd never really done before. I'd never joined equity before, and I thought this was the time. If there was going to be advice needed, which there has been, then equity was a good place to start. I'd never been a member, in honesty. I don't really know if I've had much from it. I get magazines with updates and news, and you can join various Zoom meetings, but nothing. There's only been one meeting that's really been relevant, but I'm hoping that as we come out of this and into next year, don't forget I've still got another 7 months membership left or something like that. Anyway, so I'm hoping that will be more useful as time goes on. The next thing I did was I was keeping an eye on some of my friends who were doing some very interesting things, and I knew that with the crowdfunder money, I wanted to put it back, as it were, sort of, to put it back into the industry, and to, with the money that I had been given, give it out again to a degree. So a good friend of mine, Nicole Louise Geddes, who has set up the Performerpreneur Group, which was amazing, and I sat back and watched as to what they were doing and what she was doing, and it's a membership based thing. I won't go into it here, but it's amazing, and the support online and in person has been amazing. And of course I've worked with Nicole, who runs Manic Stage Productions, many times over the years, hiring her girls for my shows. And so when she set up this as a direct result of what happened this year, she's just blossomed with it, and I could not be more proud to be part of it. So Performerpreneur, keep your eye out there. I also decided to rejoin the Chamber of Commerce, the Chichester Chamber of Commerce, that is. I was a member years and years ago in 2012 or 11. Yes, no, 2010, 11 and 12. I was a member of the Chichester Chamber of Commerce when I was really hot on the networking scene. I was out there going everywhere, and I thought that was a way into, you know, getting into corporate type businesses and just, you know, with the whole networking thing. And then life got busy and suddenly time passed me by. And so I thought with this, I saw that they were doing lots of online Zoom stuff and just reconnecting with my local area and who's doing what. And I just felt this need to know what was going on. So with the crowdfunder money, I also joined the Chichester Chamber of Commerce, which has been amazing so far, so thank you. I also thought, right, everyone's on Zoom. Everyone's on Zoom. So I joined the pro membership because I knew that I would have to learn it and get on it and up my game, basically. And with upping my game, also involved buying a mixing desk that was a USB mixing desk, because a lot of people who are performers and singers really struggled with the audio quality, the music quality, and there was a lot of changes throughout this year with the Zoom platform itself that had to change and evolve in order to allow performers to effectively use it to the best ability. So I, with crowdfunder money, bought a USB mixing desk, which actually is going to be really useful in real life as well, because it also is a proper mixing desk that I can take out. In fact, it's the really updated version of the one that I had before. So I was very familiar with most of it, not the USB part. So thanks to the two guys that helped me eventually get this all to come together. So that was amazing. So I bought that mixing desk. I also, one of the big things about the crowdfunder was to buy a camera, which is what I'm recording this on. It's so good, this camera. It's a Sony ZV-1 for vloggers. I was thinking with that it would be super duper simple to use. Doesn't seem to be the case. However, I've learnt and I'm getting better. So this camera was a big chunk of money, but yeah, it's great. And I do need some more accessories. So I'm going to see what money is left in the pot at the end of the year to see if I can buy the handheld. I have made some hints to Santa, so maybe I'll get it on my Christmas list. I also needed to buy lots more cables, which were HDMI cables and all sorts of chargers and things like that. So that was really helpful just to be able to tick those off the list and buy those. You will obviously, hopefully, know by now that I've become a bingo queen. So I, with the crowdfunder money, bought a really, the best bingo cage that you can possibly buy with the grid. It's a really nice, big, generous one. And I knew that when I was getting back out there, I've wanted to do bingo for years, actually, because right since 2016, when I was doing my first ever weekender, the holiday camp that we used did bingo with my guests, and I love it. I mean, I grew up knowing bingo, playing it with my nana in a front room with tiddlywinks and stuff. So it's something that has always felt retro and vintage to me, and I knew that one day I would want to incorporate it. So it's kind of like this pandemic has, if there's anything to thank this pandemic for, it's making me get my bingo journey on. That's so weird. Bingo journey, that's a real thing. So I bought the big bingo cage, the grid, and of course I bought loads of real bingo tickets and cards. And so that during lockdown 1 and lockdown 2, I was able to go out and earn some money by doing some bingo nights, and people were loving it. I think we did two. Did we do? Oh, we did 2 real life bingos between those lockdowns, and I've just carried it back online on Zoom, and people are coming and enjoying it. So it is a way of me earning some money, and yeah, and that again, crowdfunder helped me with that. I also did decide to invest in a wheel. I call it a wheel of fortune. It's a spinny wheel thing that is like a game show thing. to, you know what I mean. And I invested in that, and that's been really handy because it just adds something special to my bingo games and stuff. So that is another thing that I bought. Another big thing about the crowdfunder was to be able enable me to buy some speakers that were rechargeable, so I didn't need to plug any cables in. And I'd said that whenever we were allowed to go back to nursing homes and care homes, which is obviously where my heart lies, then I would be able to have them, take them in, not have to touch anything or use any plugs, do you know what I mean, to be completely self-contained. And I'm really, I was so shocked and so happy that during my actual crowdfunder, I was contacted by a company, AED, who said to me that they would actually like to gift me the speakers that I was after because they had access to get them. And I won't beat about the bush here. That company's actually owned by my brother, and I would never ever have thought of asking him to gift me something like that because we've all got our own troubles, okay? However, because obviously he's got a company that he installs PA systems and things in cathedrals and churches, I just didn't think he would have, anyway. Whatever, I thought I was wrong, and he gifted those. And so that was which meant a huge part of the crowdfunder money didn't need to be spent on those, essentially, you see what I mean? Which meant that could be directed elsewhere, which it has. And I've actually got my first going into nursing home gig coming up just before Christmas. And what I've also invested in with crowdfunder money are some of those pull-up screens, like roller banners that are completely clear, basically, and I've bought 3 of them so that I can set up and I'm completely behind a perspex barrier, essentially, to keep everyone safe, to keep me safe, to keep them safe. And yeah, so that's crowdfunder money. Another thing that crowdfunder enabled me to do was to pay for my membership of Canva, Canva. If you have not heard of Canva and you're in the entertainment world, where have you been? It's the best graphic design for amateurs thing that has ever been invented, and it's amazing. I love it, and I've used it so much. That said, my lovely graphic designer Emma of Media Circus, I have still been employing her to do things for me, like my bingo logo, my bingo graphics, and also my Showgirl Show logo. So I have also still employed a graphic designer. She will never be replaced. I'm not that good. There were some amazing graphics that she created for my weekender that were never really sort of utilised or seen. I think I did post one of the posters and it was just gorgeous. I think she said it was one of her favourite ever designs that she'd ever done, and it was for our 40s night that was going to happen in October. But anyway, don't worry, she'll be back with me, and Emma, don't worry, Canva will never replace you. I also needed to, ironically, knowing that we were not going to be gigging, back in March when we got put into first lockdown, we thought it'd be a couple of months that we wouldn't be going out and doing shows. So I needed to renew my public liability and my PRS, my music license. So I did that for the whole year with, when my crowdfunder money came through, I did that, and that has seen me through. So even though I haven't done hardly any gigs, I still knew that I had PLI. So for the events that I did do, like the bingo nights and my showgirl and various other things, I knew I was covered for insurance, and that is really important, kids. Make sure you get your insurance. So I do still have a little portion of money left from my crowdfunder. I was very wise with it and very carefully spent, and so it's going to be really, really helpful. And there are various things that I also want to line up for next year as well. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, all of those of you who donated without claiming a reward, and those of you that donated to claim a reward and enjoyed the rewards. I can't thank you enough, honestly. I know it was a tricky one, and also I want to thank Crowdfunder as well, because when this pandemic thing all happened, Crowdfunder said that if you're doing a crowdfunder purely because your business has been affected by COVID-19, then they wiped out their fees. So I got 100% of what you guys donated, and that was amazing, because back in 2016 when I did a Kickstarter, what I actually raised, there was a couple of grand there that got wiped off for the fee for the platform for using it, which is fair enough, and I understand that because it's a business as well. However, this time round, it was so helpful to be able to know that every penny that was donated has been, came directly to me. A few other things that I did with the crowdfunder money, which I didn't, when I set it up, it didn't occur to me that this was something that I would do. However, watching people, watching performers and small businesses really, really suffer, and suffer terribly. Some of my performer friends, producer friends, I decided to donate to their causes as well, to their crowdfunders. I supported a few other businesses on Crowdfunder, got some lovely jewellery out of it, and just did some plain donations to shows that were happening online, which of course are really hard work, much harder work than you actually could ever imagine. And so I donated money to other people's shows here, there, wherever I could, and to some individuals who were really struggling and making donations to their PayPal. So that is what I feel like I've given back. Is there more to do? Yes, there is, because everyone is now suffering. Now we've gone into various other stages of tier system, and I can't imagine that it's going to get any easier. I really hope it is. And now the theatres are closed again in London. It's just heartbreaking everywhere. So I think my crowdfunder was done at the right time, and it's really enabled me to equip myself to see the way ahead. And I don't want to pretend that, I was in the worst situation that anyone was, because I absolutely wasn't. I have a husband who's still been working, and so, luckily roof over our heads and bills paid and stuff. But as far as my business went, it was just awful. Awful. And so honestly, Crowdfunder, thank you so much to the platform and to all of my people on the Wall of Fame, which is on my website. You can see there, and that will stay there forevermore. And the businesses, of course, my business sponsors who stepped up and were very generous with their donations. So AED Audio Electronic Design, Melissa Hamilton of Melissa Hair, Serenity Hair Salon in Rustington, Retro-esque, beautiful vintage boutique in Arundel, Cherry Vintage, lovely vintage shop in Chichester, Media Circus, I mentioned earlier, my gorgeous graphic design Emma, Rock with the Foxes, Madeline and crew, thank you so much. And Bless My Whiskers, David, who is currently working his socks off being Santa, thank you so much. So they're my business sponsors who were really, really generous. But honestly, to each and every one of you who donated, from the smallest to the largest, every single bit of that counted. And I cannot thank you enough. Do check out my website, which has got all of the names, all of the Wall of Fame, all the individuals who contributed to my crowdfunder. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful Christmas.